Wow. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, band. Thank you, Zamar. All this beautiful music. Wow. I don't know about you, but that lifts me up and raises me up just hearing this beautiful music and letting it resonate through my body and my spirit. What a blessing. Thank you. And what a blessing it is to be here with you on this beautiful Hawaii Easter Sunday in this warm climate with this open chapel. I kind of came from winter in Colorado, so this is nice to be here in summer. Feels like summer to me. And I feel so blessed to be able to be walking this path of community with this group of people, with all of you and everyone else who's been taking part in this resurrection that we're undertaking right now. Wow, I like it. And it's interesting to me to think about a year ago or 6 months ago or even probably 2 or 3 months ago, I had no idea that on Easter Sunday I would be in this chapel giving a talk about Easter. Not at all in my mind, and here I am, and I celebrate that. And so as I've been reflecting, contemplating, meditating, pondering what to share with you this morning, I realized that the starting point for me would be to share with you a little bit about my journey of Easter. Starting with when I was a child, probably 5 or 6 years old, growing up in a small town in western Colorado. And Easter was a time I remember so specially because my mom and I would get dressed up and we would go out to breakfast at this restaurant called the Cattleman Inn in this little town. And then we would go to the Easter service at the community church there in downtown Gunnison, or what passed for downtown, in the town of 6,000 people. And I remember the sense of awe and wonder that I experienced. I didn't really know what it was about. I didn't grasp the literal or metaphysical aspects of the story of Easter, but I knew I could feel it. I could feel something moving in me. The bells and the songs, the joy, the smiles, it was really, really something. And then over about the next 10 years, I lost that. I lost contact with that. Because as I became a teenager, I began seeing that there were these other people in the church community who were my classmates in this very small high school that would behave one way on Sunday and a different way during the week. And I just really questioned, is this the kind of, is this, what's this about? It seems to me that I want to be in integrity by being the same person all the time. So at that time, I decided that organized religion, not for me. Christianity, not for me. And I grew up and spent decades as an agnostic, as a seeker, and eventually found a spiritual home in the Shambhala Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which is what I claim is my spiritual identity now. So it's quite something that here I am as a Tibetan Buddhist in front of this group in a Christian church. And how perfect. Thank you. Diana, I think, is my biggest fan over here. And Diana, I'm your biggest fan. And Gabriel, yeah. So 2 other experiences I had that I think that are moving me back into this, but to be here today. One is about, 6 or 7 years ago, I was a student at Naropa University in Boulder, which is a Buddhist university, and I was doing the Master of Divinity program. And in one of my classes, the requirement was to attend 3 worship services in communities that were not our original faith tradition or not our current faith tradition. And my favorite one that still resonates for me was the Easter sunrise service at the Episcopal Church. And I have to admit, I picked this one because it was like 5 minutes from my house. And I didn't want to get up too super early. But apparently I still got up too early because I was the first one there. But then the person showed up to unlock the door and welcome me, and then other people started arriving, and it was like being a kid again. There were the bells and the singing and the joy and the make a joyous noise unto the Lord. It's like, oh my gosh, I can feel this again. And then I didn't go back. It just kind of went into, it dissolved, and I had other experiences. And then 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago in this very chapel, I came to my first 2 services at Unity Church of Hawaii. And there it was, because it was never gone. It was always there. I was moved to tears for most of both services because I felt that sense of connection to the holy, to the meaningful, to the sense of community here and the larger community of all that is. What an opportunity to get to be here. And what I realized and what I've come to see over the last 2 weeks that I've been here is that what I pushed away, what I rejected at the age of 17 was a religion about Jesus. What I found here, what I'm finding here, is a religion of Jesus. And I'd like to invite Brian to read a quote from Charles Fillmore for me, because as I've been pondering what to say, I thought I would try to include some unity theology, or at least my understanding of it, and I found the Unity Metaphysical Dictionary very helpful. So there are a couple things I'd like to refer to that, and one of them is this relatively long quote that I didn't want to have a paper in my hand for, so I asked Brian to read it for us.
When we are quickened to spiritual understanding and fully realize the true character of God and our own nature as the image or idea of God, we will begin to live as Jesus lived, in order that we may bring forth the likeness, to perceive the true character of God and his attributes, and then to grasp our relationship to him is to realize that his attributes are our attributes. His power is our power. His character is our character.
Thank you, Brian. What a message. The nature of God, of source, of all it is our nature. Everything we do is the same. There's no separation. This really inspires me, and this is one thing I love about this community. Another thing I've enjoyed is kind of delving into the Easter story of death and resting in the tomb and resurrection through the metaphysical lens, because this is a new idea to me. I really wasn't ever exposed to this before, only to the literal story of crucifixion and death and then literal raising from the dead. So what I discovered is that this crucifixion and death in the metaphysical sense, it isn't necessarily something to be sad about. It's sort of a natural occurrence. It is a natural part in the life of this man we call Jesus, who represents this divine being. And I also learned in the metaphysical dictionary that the tomb represents a resting place, where Jesus was in an elevated, peaceful state of consciousness, preparing for something new. And then that this resurrection, this raising up, is about restoring the original undying nature of mind and body, restoring to its original nature, bringing back, wiping away what might be the appearance of death or the appearance of dirt or something harmful, to see that which cannot be changed, which I think is that Christ nature, the God within, Buddha nature, basic goodness, that which we cannot change, which is always part of our nature. So I'm inspired by this story of raising and awakening and raising spiritual consciousness of the I am in man. That's another thing I read there. And I reflected on what an opportunity for us to take this message from the Bible and the metaphysical interpretation of it and apply it to our own lives. Because I recognize that in my life, and especially right now, I'm in a big transition, but I've recognized that there are times when there's something in me that dies. When I say goodbye to something that no longer serves me, or it says goodbye to me. I don't always have choice in the matter. And it's like entering this underworld journey, entering into something beneath what I see as like the conventional reality. And that this requires letting go. Letting go of my attachment to things being the way they were. Letting go of my attachment to understanding where I'm going even, because I don't know. Once I go under here, I don't know where I'll end up. So this is, I'm trying to make an analogy here between the Easter story and our personal experience. So this dying, this symbolic death of those things that no longer serve us is just entering this journey. And then sometime we come to our own tomb in the meaning of a resting place, where we can rest down at the bottom of this journey, if you will, and we can cultivate compassion for ourselves and others. Regardless of where we came from or where we might be going, we can rest in this and let it be. We can let what is be and just be with it. And this brings a sense of peace and of openness to what might come next. And what comes next is this raising up, this resurrection, bringing back to the surface of the phenomenal world of something new. And in my experience, this has been an allowing. When I have let go of those things that no longer serve me, sat with gentleness and compassion for myself and others, there's an openness that arises, a space that clears out for something new to come through. So you see me doing this motion. It's like a wave. I just got that. It's like a wave out in the ocean. Join me in this if you'd like, without hitting your neighbor. Wow, it's like down, rest, and then up. And when I allow myself to be open to the yet unknown possibilities that might arise, creativity is present. And I find myself back like a little forest creature peeking out from the hole. Oh, look, here I am. I might have thought I was over there, but here I am. Here I am. And likewise, this journey, the path of this journey can be seen as a community journey as well. So we're on this right now as a community. We are in the downward, relatively downward path. We're entering. And what it is that I invite us to let go of is fear. I see, I sense, I have heard about a lot of fear in the community and a lot of pain. And I'm touched and I want to be present to that. And I invite you to be present to what you are experiencing and to experience grief, experience mourning as a natural and necessary part of life. And also as the entry into letting go of fear. And then when we get to this resting place, this tomb of our community experience, elevating our consciousness, if you will, this is where we can again cultivate compassion. Find gentleness for ourselves and gentleness for each other. This can be very difficult. Anybody else have difficulty cultivating gentleness for themselves or others? Yeah, don't be afraid. It's natural. I think we all do. And this is, I think, what we're called to do as a community of faith, is to find that space of gentleness. And then, friends, we open ourselves to the yet unknown possibilities. Allow what is wanting to be born to come forth. Being open to things that might not make sense initially. And finding a yes to the completion of this journey together as we, as a community, bring forth that which is called for, that which we call from each other, that which is called for from the broader community, and that which is called for by divine presence or all that is, however I frame this. This is what we're called to do. And I have confidence that when we come out of this journey, when we rise back up, when we rise up to the surface of this phenomenal world, we will be on holy ground. We will be on sacred space. And when we're there, we join hands and we celebrate and we rest in the joy of this work well done. Thank you.